To continue where we last ended last week, under aerosol generators for drug delivery, we have overview for aerosol generators. The long deposition depends on four factors. We have aerosol device use, patient factors, drug properties, and disease condition. Next slide. So, where does drug loss happen? In small volume nebulizers, most drug is lost inside the device. This is due to the residual volume and aerosol wasted during exhalation. For pressurized meter dose inhaler and dry powder inhaler, most drug is lost in the mouth and throat. This is because of the high particle velocity and improper inhalation technique depending on the patient. To improve deposition, adding a reservoir or non-electrostatic valve holding chamber to a PMDI leads to reduce of throat loss and increases drug reaching the lungs. Overall, the lung deposition can vary from 1% to 40% depending on the device. Next slide. Next topic is we have the nebulizers. Nebulizers are various devices that operate on different physical principles to generate an aerosol from a drug solution. A small volume nebulizer, or SVN, has three power sources. A. The compressed gas, either air or oxygen. B. A compressor. And C. An electrically powered device. This small volume nebulizer converts liquid drug solutions or suspensions into aerosol. And its main advantage is that the drug is delivered over 60 to 90 breaths. And kahit one poor or ineffective breath, hindi niya ikakasira yung treatment na dinedeliver no SVN. Next slide. There are three types of small volume nebulizers: the jet pneumatic nebulizers, mesh nebulizers, and ultrasonic nebulizers. Under jet pneumatic nebulizers, these are small reservoir, gas-powdered aerosol devices. They are also termed as handheld nebulizers, updraft nebulizers, and unit dose nebulizers. Commonly for jet nebulizers, in traditional type, they have a high drug wastage, mainly inside the device itself. And its operating principle is the jet shearing principle. This jet shearing principle is a compressed gas is forced through a narrow orifice at high velocity, creating now a low pressure area. So medyo familiar na tayo dun, which is the Ventura effect, which then draws liquid medication up to the capillary tube. This fast gas stream shears the liquid into droplets, and the larger particles are impacted by baffles and are returned to the reservoir, while smaller respirable particles are carried toward to the patient. So, gaya ng sinabi ko, how do they work? Again, compressed gas passes through a narrow opening. It creates a negative pressure that pulls liquid drug up toward the patient. And conceptually, the jet nebulizers are divided into four categories: the jet nebulizer with reservoir tube, the jet nebulizer with collection bag, a breath-enhanced jet nebulizer, and a breath-actuated jet nebulizer. Next slide. The jet nebulizer with reservoir tube, it is a traditional, the cheapest, and the most commonly used type. Its aerosol output is produced continuously, especially during inhalation, exhalation, and breath hold. Its reservoir tubing has a size of 6 inches, which is convenient because it reduces aerosol loss to the air and it does not fully prevent environmental contamination. For efficiency, it delivers low drug delivery to the patient, and only 10 to 20% of the emitted dose is inhaled. Examples of this is Misty Neb and Nebu Mist. Next slide. For jet nebulizer with collection bag, this naman it has an aerosol filling a collection bag continuously, and there is no aerosol loss during exhalation. Ang magandang feature din nito is that it has a one-way inspiratory valve which blocks loss. So how does it work? The patient inhales aerosol from the bag, and it exhales to the air through an exhalation port. The significance of this type is that it reduces waste compared to basic jet nebulizers. And an example is the Circulair 2. The third is the breath-enhanced jet nebulizer. This releases more aerosol during inhalation and less aerosol during exhalation or breath hold. Again, it uses one-way valves to limit environmental loss, and aerosol is better contained in a reservoir. The significance of this type is that it improves efficiency without needing patient coordination. So it's very useful sa mga pasyente kahit wala silang coordination. And examples are the Pari LC Plus, Nebutech, and Ventstream Pro. Next slide. Last is the breath-actuated nebulizer, jet nebulizer. This releases aerosol only during inhalation, and it has two main purposes: to increase aerosol drug delivery to the patient, reduce drug loss during exhalation, and it has an effectiveness of where the inhaled dose increases more than threefold. Its trade-off is that it has a greater efficiency coming with longer treatment time. Under breath-actuated jet nebulizer, it has two types, the manual and the mechanical. To further explain, next slide po. Under manual breath-actuated jet nebulizer, this represents the first generation of breath-actuated nebulizers. So it's very revolutionizing because it represents the first generation. It works where the patient controls aerosol with a thumb port, and the aerosol produced is only during inhalation. There is no aerosol produced during exhalation. And through releasing the thumb at the port, it pauses naman the nebulation. Advantages include it reduces drug loss during exhalation, and limitations naman. It requires a good hand-breath coordination for the patient, and there is a longer treatment time. Next is the mechanical. It has naman a breath-actuated valve that is triggered by patients creating an inspiratory force. So how it works, the breath-actuated valve is triggered. Aerosol is produced only during inspiration, and it eliminates the need for a collection bag or reservoir. Example of this is the Aero Eclipse 2, the Trudel Medical International, London, Ontario, Canada, found at Canada. The next type is the mesh nebulizers. They use a mesh or plate with tiny holes to create aerosol. Wag ka maingay! Sorry. So how is aerosol formed? The liquid is pushed through the mesh, no internal baffles, and aerosol made by the mesh plate or ultrasonic horn. The particle size is determined depending on the size of the mesh hole, and its power source is an electric power. And last, its efficiency is that it has very little leftover drug with a dead volume of 0.1 to 0.5 ml. And another efficiency, it is highly efficient, especially for drug delivery. Under mesh nebulizer, there are two types. Active vibrating mesh nebulizers have an aperture plate with 1,000 to 4,000 funnel-shaped holes on an electroformed sheet that is vibrated by a piezo-ceramic element that surrounds the aperture plate. Examples of this are the AeroNeb Go and Solo at Aerogen Galway, Ireland, Akita 2, Activeiro Dublin, Ohio, and eFlow. Next. The other type is the passive. So, kanina active, ngayon naman is passive. It uses an ultrasonic horn to push liquid through a mesh. Under passive, we have the adaptive aerosol delivery system, such as the iNeb, which is battery-powered, silent and lightweight, delivers precise, reproducible doses, and releases aerosol at the start of inhalation. This system uses preset dosing of 0.25 to 1.4 ml with a minimal residual of 0.1 ml. It delivers drug, especially during 50 to 80% of inspiration on the patient, and it provides audible and tactile feedback to confirm dose delivery. Next slide. And last is the ultrasonic nebulizers. The ultrasonic nebulizer are electrically powered devices operating on the piezoelectric principle and are capable of high output. Its particle size vary depending on the brand, and it is less commonly used for drug delivery. It is reintroduced as small, portable DC-powered devices, and ang key issue lang here is that kaya siya less commonly used is that it has heat production. Most ultrasonic energy becomes heated, and the heat itself can alter drug activity. Lastly, its drug stability naman. Balik mo. Ayan. Its heat-sensitive drugs may be damaged, and an example of this when administering insulin, it can be inactivated. And most current inhaled drugs are stable with USN or ultrasonic nebulizers. So possible causes of the drug breakdown, kanina key issue niya, heat, surface denaturation, cavitation, and pressure effects. Next slide. So tapos na natin yung tatlong types. Now we proceed with the nebulizers with specific applications. There are two specific applications, namely the ribavirin and the pentamidine administration. On the ribavirin, the SPAG, the SPAG, or the small particle aerosol generator, has a large reservoir up to 300 ml. It is designed for long nebulization times, and it uses the jet shearing principle to generate an aerosol. Its clinical significance is that it is developed and used specifically for aerosolized ribavirin or Virazole, and it is marketed specifically, yes, Jan, for that drug. And the other one, the pentamidine administration, it uses an SVN with one-way inspiratory and expiratory valves, and what makes it unique is that yun, may expiratory filter siya, which prevents drug from escaping into the environment. The main purpose of this specific administration is that it reduces second-hand exposure and it protects others from inhaling exhaled pentamidine kasi yung unique feature niya nga, it prevents that drug from escaping into the environment. Now, for the continuation of the topics to be discussed, I give the floor to Lorraine Bueno.
So we will now proceed dun sa dead volume or tinatawag nilang residual volume. Wait lang. Dead volume is amount of drug solution remaining when aerosolizing cases. Dead volume is varies with the brand of nebulizer and it's about 0.5 to 1.0 ml. Diluent expands solution volume and does not alter the amount of drug. Only 35 to 60 of drug solution is delivered and 30% in the positive pressure circuit. Filling volume and treatment time. Increasing the volume increases the time of efficiency nebulizer. Less than 2 ml, most pneumatic nebulizer doesn't perform well, and 6 ml treatment time is more than 10 minutes. 3 to 5 ml is recommended for the better dose delivery and resolvable time. So sa increasing fill volume increases inhaled efficiency and the dose to the patients. The approved label dose includes the fill volume used in clinical trials approved by FDA. Increasing fill volume should not be done without consulting the prescriber physicians. Sa effective flow rate and pressure, flow rate affect the length of treatment time, and the size of particles produced. increase the flow rate, decrease particle size, and shift to the MMAD lower. Average optimal setting is 5 ml filling volume and 6 to 8 liters per minute flow rate. Sa importance of correcting pressure naman, each gas nebulizer is designed to work best at a specific flow. Lower flow or pressure increase particle size. Mismatch compressor pressure reduce efficiency. So yung bawat jet nebulizer dito is, ang specific flow niya is kung saan ito pinaka-epektibo. Kapag mas mababa yung flow or pressure, mas malaki yung particles, kaya bumababa yung efficiency ng nebulizer. And halimbawa dito yung kung yung nebulizer po ay design para sa 6 to 8 liters per minute, pero mababa po yung pressure ng compressor, maapektuhan po yung performance niya. Dito naman tayo sa device interface. Device interface include mouthpiece and face mask. Mouthpiece provides greater lung dose that standard pediatric aerosol mask. Patients should be instructed to inhale through the mouth. So dito naman is yung yung device na interface dito is mouthpiece tsaka yung face mask. Mas ideal kasi ang mouthpiece dahil nagbibigay ito ng mas malaki na lung dose kumpara dun sa face mask. And yung interface na ginagamit kasi yung pasyente po is dapat huminga dun sa bibig dahil mas maraming aerosol ang nafi-filter ng ilong. Sa types of solution naman, droplet size is related to the surface tension and viscosity of the solution. Some drug solutions, such as antibiotics, required higher flow rates, 10 to 12 liters per minute. Efficiency of the lung delivery is function to the both the drug and device. Sa pressure meter dose inhaler naman, pressure meter dose inhaler have been used since 1955 and commonly prescribed for asthma and COPD. Small pressured canister with accuracy metered drugs. And may technical description po tayo dito. PMDI has 5 major components: canister, propellant, and drug formaldehyde, metering valve, actuator, and dose counter. Sa canister naman, inert withstand high internal pressure with floating to prevent drug adherence. And sa propellant naman, liquefied compressed gases where the drug is dissolved or suspended. Sa drug formulary naman, particulate suspensions or solutions with surfactants or alcohol that allocates drug dose and particle sizes. Sa metering valve naman, most critical components responsible for metering a reproductive wall drugs or volume or dose. And sa actuator and dose counter naman, both affect particle size based on nozzle length and diameter. And those counters show number of dose remaining. Next. So may advantage and disadvantage naman tayo sa pressure meter dose inhaler. Ang advantage nito is portable, light, and compact. Drug delivery is efficient and treatment time is short. More than 100 doses are available. And sa disadvantage naman, required complex hand-breathing coordination, high oropharyngeal impaction if no extension device is used, difficult to determine the dose remaining, without a counter. So let's proceed dun sa chlorofluorocarbon versus hydrofluoroalkane propellants. So sa uh, chlorofluorocarbon banned by FDA kasi nagde-destroy siya ng ozone layer, and sa hydrofluoroalkane naman are non-toxic to atmosphere and patient. Sa hydrofluoroalkane is used to improve pressure meter dose inhaler performance. Sa improved drug delivery with hydrofluoroalkane, better lung deposition, 10% lung delivery increase, and higher lung delivery than CFC. Sa conventional metered dose inhaler naman, sa conventional metered dose inhaler has press and breath design. When the canister is depressed, the drug propellant is released under the pressure. The liquid propellant is vaporized and forms an aerosol. So dito naman sa conventional metered dose inhaler, may press and breathe design siya. Ibig sabihin dito is pinipindot mo na yung canister bago huminga yung pasyente. Kapag pinindot yung canister, yung drug propellant mixture ay lumalabas dun under pressure. At yung propellant is nagvaporize siya. Ang mabilis na pag-expand nito is dahil ang dahilan kung bakit naging aerosolize yung gamot. Sa metering valve and spray characteristics naman, metering valve volume range from 25 to 100 and deliver 50 to 5 mg of drugs per equation. Hydrofluoroalkane versions have the warmer spray temperature. Sa breath-actuated meter dose inhaler naman, breath-actuated pressure meter dose inhalers are designed to simplify meter dose inhaler use. Pressure meter dose inhaler canister is triggered when the patient inhales, and then improve drug delivery in patients with poor coordination. Sa breath-actuated pressure meter dose mechanism naman, delivery is primed by raising the lever. Inhalation is 22 to 26 liter per minute. Trigger dose release. The device is reset by lowering the lever. So dito, kapag yung prime ang device na handa yung ilong na maglabas ng gamot. Kapag yung pasyente naman ay humihinga sa flow na 22 to 26 liter per minute, automatic na lalabas yung meter dose niya. Then pagkatapos, i-reset yung device para dun sa susunod na gagamit. Then naman tayo sa breath-actuated pressure meter dose accessory device. Delivers such as MD Turbo and Smart Mist Converter. A conventional meter dose inhaler to breathe actuated pressure meter dose inhaler. Used with most PMDIS. Loss of dose. Dito naman is ito naman is factor affecting meter dose inhaler performance naman siya. And then yung number 1 is yung loss of dose. Loss of dose occurs when drug content in the valve is less than nominal amount. Can happen if the canister is stored valve down even for a few hours. Hydrofluoroalkane formulation is not associated with loss of dose. So, ibig sabihin dyan yung ang loss of dose ay nangyayari kapag ang valve ng meter dose inhaler ay kulang na gamot. Kahit parang normal yung discharge niya. Madalas itong nangyayari kapag yung canister ay stored volume down. Sa hydrofluoro formulation naman, wala itong problema sa pagdating sa loss of dose. Sa shaking the canister, drug in meter dose inhaler can separate from propellant on standing. Shake canister before the first accretion and mix drug suspension. Not shaking can reduce total dose by 26 and particles 6.8 by 36%. So, maraming gamot ang meter dose inhaler. Ang separate na propellant ay tumatagal. Kaya dapat i-shake ang canister bago siya gamitin para ma-mix ng maayos yung suspension. Kung hindi kasi siya shake bababa yung total dose at liliit yung particles ng output. So, timing accretion interval. Rapid accretion can reduce dose output and fine particle mass. A pause between puff and may help during acute asthma exacerbation. No benefit of pause in routine maintenance therapy. Next naman is loss of prime. Loss of prime occurs when little or no drug is discharged, happened after long period of no use, can be corrected by shaking and discharging waste dose. So, ibig sabihin nito yung loss of prime ay nangyayari kapag halos walang gamot na lumalabas dun sa canister. Kunwari itong karaniwan itong nangyayari kung hindi nagamit ng matagal na panahon. Tas maayos itong magagamit ng pag-shake. Maayos mo itong magagamit ng pag-shake at paggamit ng waste dose bago gamitin. Sa storage temperature naman, sa CFC propellant, meter dose inhaler, low dose of low temperature at 10 to 20 degrees Celsius, and HPA propellant albuterol remains constant from -20 to 20 degrees Celsius. Extreme temperature affect the fine particle mass. So, nozzle size and cleanliness naman. Aerosol delivery depends on the nozzle size, cleanliness, and lack of moisture. Nozzle is less than 1 mm inner diameter, increase aerosol delivery. Check and clean the nozzle periodically. Next is breathing techniques. May two techniques tayo, yung open mouth and closed mouth. Sa open mouth is slow particles velocity, reduce oropharyngeal deposition. Use extension device if accurate timing or reduced impaction is needed. Sa patient characteristics naman, aerosol deposition varies with the patient characteristics. Infants and children have lower deposition due to anatomy and abilities. Dito naman tayo sa correct use of pressure meter dose inhaler. Correct use is effective, syempre effective siya sa treatment. And yung common error niya is hand breathing incoordination. Other errors naman is fast inhalation, no breathe sounds, no shaking, no breathe, no breathing. 50 to 7 misuse, pressured meter dose. So effective ang uh, pressured shit. Pressured meter dose inhaler kung tama yung paggamit. Pinaka-common na mali dito is yung hindi sabay yung paghinga at pag-press. Marami ring humihinga ng mabilis, hindi nag-hold ng paghinga at hindi nila sinishake ito. Kaya hanggang 50 to 70% ng patient ay mali po yung paggamit. Sa accessory device for pressure meter dose inhaler, space sorry, lolo ko kasi. Accessory device for pressure meter dose inhaler, spacer and holding chambers simplify use, lower particles, more vaporization, less oropharyngeal deposition. Yung accessory device naman, tulad ng spacer at holding chamber, nakakatulong siya sa tamang paggamit ng pressured meter dose inhaler. Pinapabagal nito yung particle velocity, mas maraming vaporization at mas maliit na particles siya. Dahil dito is mas kaunti yung gamot na napupunta sa bibig at lalamunan, kaya mas konti yung side effect niya. Wait, hindi ko mati. So, dito naman tayo sa types. Spacer, tube, no valve. Valve, holding chamber, may one-way valve. Reserve your device, general term. Sa accessory device for pressure meter dose, volume, shape, valve, spray direction. Yung valve chamber niya is better delivery. And ang less electrostatic charge is more drugs. Sa size and dose counters naman, yung bigger space is more drugs. Bulky, syempre mas less convenient siya, and dose counter prevents empty use. Yan lang.
So guys, let's talk about dry powder inhalers. So, next slide po. Ayan, so guys, let's talk about dry powder inhalers. So, dry powder inhalers is a dry powder inhaler medication delivered in powdered form. So, nadidisperse yung powder na gamot para maabot yung baga and mag-start yung effect. The main advantage of a DPI is that it is breath actuated and does not require hand-breath coordination. Ang best thing sa DPI is na breath actuated siya. Yung inhaler mismo yung nagre-release ng gamot kapag humihinga and hindi na siya kailangan i-press para saka lumabas yung aerosol. The main disadvantage of a DPI is the need for a high inspiratory flow rate to disperse the drug. Ang downside naman is kailangan mo huminga ng malakas enough para ma-disperse yung powder. So yung mga bata or may malalang lung condition issues, minsan hindi nila kaya na gamitin yung device na to kasi hindi rin kaya ng lungs nila if mahina lang yung paghinga. And the required inspiratory flow rate usually ranges from 30 to 90 liters per minute. And children and patients with respiratory disease may be unable to generate sufficient flow to use a DPI effectively. Next po. So, there are 3 types of dry powdered inhalers. First is unit dose DPI, multiple unit dose DPI, and multiple dose DPI. Next po. So, unit dose dry powder inhalers deliver medication in single-dose capsules that are individually packaged and loaded into the device before use, while multiple unit dose dry powder inhalers contain pre-measured doses stored in blisters that are punctured when the device is activated. Next po. And multiple dose dry powder inhalers deliver medication from a powder reservoir or blister strip and are designed to provide multiple doses without loading capsule. So ang unit dose DPI, isa lang yung capsule ng powder per use, while yung multiple unit dose DPI, maraming capsule sa blister strip or yung reservoir. Pero isa lang yung ginagamit bawat puff or paghinga. And yung multiple dose DPI is built-in na yung powder dun sa reservoir or blister strip. Kaya ready na agad para kahit ilang beses nang huminga. Next slide po. So there are factors affecting the dried powder inhaler performance. First is the intrinsic resistance of device. Basically, gaano kahirap huminga sa inhaler para lumabas yung powder. And next, inspiratory flow rate is kailangan mo talaga ng malakas na paghinga para ma-disperse yung powder. Then, humidity and moisture. So kapag basa or moist yung device, magka-clamp yung powder kaya hindi maayos yung pag-dispense ng drug. And last, patient technique. So kahit gaano kaganda yung device, kung hindi naman alam ng patient paano gamitin properly, hindi rin siya magiging effective. Next po. So in selecting an aerosol device, Dolovich and colleagues suggested 8 questions to help us pick the best device. So first, is the drug available in this device? Dapat sure na tayo na pwede yung medication sa device. Can the patient use it correctly? Is reimbursement available for this device or drug combo? And which device is least expensive? Can one device be used for all inhaled drugs? Which device is most convenient for the patient or yung family ng patient? 7. How durable is the device? And does the patient or practitioner have a preference? Kasi mas malakas yung chance na gagamitin nila kung gusto nila yung device. And fun fact, respiratory therapists usually know how to use this device better than nurses or doctors kasi mas trained sila sa actual handling ng equipment. Next po. So the clinical applications of aerosol delivery device. So Dolovich and colleagues reviewed relevant literature to develop recommendations for clinical use of aerosol device. And these following summarize na yung findings nila. So aerosol delivery of short-acting B2 agonist sa emergency department. So yung metered dose inhaler or MDI with holding chamber at nebulizer is pareho lang effective sa adults and kids. Pareho lang silang nakaka-improve ng symptoms at lung function. And sa dry powder inhalers naman is limited pa yung research, so hindi pa totally recommended compared sa MDI. Next po. Ayun, sa hospital patients is same lang din. MDI with holding chamber at nebulizer is pareho lang effect sa lung function. And yung DPI, gaya nga ng sabi ko, hindi pa siya masyadong proven sa hospital, so not recommended. Kaya sa hospital, safest choice pa rin is MDI. Next po. Okay, next. Intermittent versus continuous nebulizer delivery. So based sa studies, wala talagang difference sa lung function, asthma scores, or adverse effects. Pareho lang silang effective. Ang main difference lang is yung continuous delivery, mas tipid siya sa oras ng staff. So from a workflow perspective, mas convenient siya. Next slide po. So pagdating naman sa patients na naka-mechanical ventilation, whether nebulizer or metered dose inhaler ang gamit, pareho lang yung effect nila. And for non-invasive ventilation, medyo limited pa yung evidence. So sa ngayon, wala pang clear best advice. Next slide po. Ayun, so sa outpatient setting naman, especially sa asthma patients, whether gumagamit ng metered dose inhaler with or without holding chamber or dry powder inhaler, pareho lang din yung effect sa lung function and symptoms. Pero recommended pa rin talaga yung with holding chamber para may nag-hold ng gamot. Okay, next. Ayun, for inhaled corticosteroids naman po is MDI with holding chamber or DPI. Same lang din yung effect sa symptom control at lung function sa adult asthma patients. And sa chronic obstructive pulmonary disease naman, nebulizer, MDI, or DPI, lahat yan is may similar effects. So yung pagpili ng device is depende na talaga sa patient factors. Next po. So here are the factors to consider when selecting the proper aerosol device. First is patient or clinical preference. Second, convenience of device, practicality of device, durability of device, cost and reimbursement, drug availability, and ability of all prescribed drugs to be delivered by the same device. Next po. Ayan, so this slide is about equivalent dose among device types. So traditional metered dose inhaler, small volume nebulizers, and dry powder inhalers deliver approximately the same percentage of the total dose to the lungs. So example dito, albuterol dose. So 2 puffs ng MDI is only 0.2 milligrams habang sa nebulizer umaabot ng 2.5 milligrams. So kahit same percentage yung pumapasok sa lungs, mas mataas pa rin yung total amount na nade-deliver ng nebulizer. That's why ang dose ratio ng MDI and yun ng SDN is approximately 1 to 12. Next po. And so this slide naman is supported by this graph. So in this study by Zainuddin and colleagues, pare-pareho lang yung dose ng albuterol na ginamit for all devices, which is 400 micrograms. And makikita natin sa graph na yung lung deposition ng metered dose inhaler, dry powder inhaler, and small volume nebulizer are very similar, around 9 to 11. So pagdating naman sa clinical response, which is yung improvement sa forced expiratory volume in 1 second, halos pare-pareho rin yung effect. So ang main takeaway dito is as long as the correct dose is delivered properly, different aerosol device can produce the same therapeutic effect. Next po. Ayun, itong device naman, itong table naman nito shows evidence from different studies na equivalent ang paggamit ng metered dose inhaler with reservoir or face mask compared sa small volume nebulizer in giving bronchodilators. So unahin natin yung preterm infants. Ginamit dito yung albuterol And sa MDI with spacer and mask, 2 puff every 4 hours. And sa nebulizer, equivalent dose din. So kapag sinabing 2 puffs every 4 hours, hindi ibig sabihin nun na tawag doon, 2 beses ka lang hinga in 4 hours. Parang ito is 2 spray ng nung device every 4 hours. And ang outcome, mas gumanda yung lung compliance at bumaba yung airway resistance. Next naman is yung infants around 16 months old. So sa MDI with holding chamber and mask, 4 puffs every 20 minutes times 3. Ibig sabihin, i-spray yung inhaler 4 beses every 20 minutes tapos ulitin ng 3 beses. So sa nebulizer naman, 2.5 milligrams every 20 minutes din times 3. Result, same respiratory rate, same clinical scores, and same admission date. Next is, for children, and then, for children, pakibalik ko sa last. Thank you. For children age 5 to 16 years, Tributalin yung ginamit and 3 puffs lang sa MDI with mask compared sa isang nebulizer treatment. Walang significant difference sa lung function at clinical scores nila. And lastly, sa adults, albuterol ulit yung drug and 2 puffs every 15 minutes times 3 sa MDI versus nebulizer na same interval. And the result is same spirometry findings and asthma scores. Next na po. Okay, so ito yung table na nagpapakita kung anong aerosol device ang appropriate based sa age ng patient. So first, small volume nebulizer recommended for patients na 2 years old and below. Since ang mga babies and toddlers, wala pa silang coordination, kahit normal breathing lang, effective na yung delivery ng gamot. Next naman is meter dose inhaler. Ito naman is for patients more than 5 years old. Kasi kailangan dito ng proper hand and breathing coordination. Press tapos saka ka mag-inhale kaya hindi siya ideal for younger kids. And third, meter dose inhaler with reservoir. Recommended ito for patients more than 4 years old. Mas madali siyang gamitin compared sa regular meter dose inhaler dahil may reservoir na nag-hold ng gamot. Next naman is meter dose inhaler with reservoir and mask. Ito naman is for patients na 4 years old and below. Since hindi pa nila kayang gumamit ng mouthpiece, mas yung ginagamit para masigurado na i-inhale yung gamot. And then, meter dose inhaler with endotracheal tube. This can be used for neonates and older patients, lalo na kung intubated. Dito na-deliver yung aerosol directly through the airway. Next, breath-acquainted meter dose inhaler. Recommended ito for patients more than 5 years old kasi kailangan ng sapat na inspiratory effort para ma-activate yung device. And lastly, dry powder inhaler. Ito is for patients na 5 years old and above. Kailangan dito ng malakas na paghinga gaya nga na sabi ko kanina, kaya hindi siya appropriate for very young children. Next slide po. Ayun. So for this slide is patient device interface. Basically, ito yung connection between the patient and the aerosol device. So common interface used in practice is first oral inhalation, intermittent positive pressure breathing, face mask administration, and delivery to intubated mechanically ventilated patients. So, oral inhalation, diretsong huminga ang patient dun sa mouthpiece ng inhaler. And intermittent positive pressure breathing, previously popular for aerosol therapy. So, yun yung ginagamit before sa pag-deliver ng aerosol therapy. And research shows no added benefit compared to spontaneous inhalation and not recommended for routine clinical or home use if patient can breathe independently. Hindi naman na siya, hindi na siya pwedeng iuwi ng patient kasi kung kaya niya namang huminga independently, kaya niya huminga kahit walang device. So, next slide po. And face mask administration is commonly used for infants, young children, and unresponsive patients. Does not significantly improve lung function compared to mouthpiece and greater tremor observed, suggesting higher systemic drug absorption. Next po. So last is endotracheal tube administration, commonly used in intubated neonatal and adult patients. Aerosol delivery is difficult to measure accurately and many variables affect drug delivery during mechanical ventilation and both metered dose inhalers and nebulizers can be used effectively. So, uulitin ko yung apat, oral inhalation, humihinga diretso sa mouthpiece. Second is yung IPPB. And then, yung intermittent machine siya na naglalabas ng short air puff para tumulong sa paghinga. And face mask, mask para sa bibig and nose, usually sa babies o sa hindi kaya yung mouthpiece. Next is intubated or ventilator. Diretso sa breathing tube kung nasa ICU or naka-ventilator. Next po. Yan lang po. Thank you.